No, okay, hang on a second. We're not technically started yet. It's only 3:57. Checking my lighting. Checking my lighting, trying to get cute. Give me a second. We're going to do sewing machines in a minute. Here you go over here. It's raining outside. Do I need that light? No, it's not enough light. I had to set up all the lights because it's absolutely raining here. It's dark outside. There's no light coming in. So I had to set up like it's nighttime. Not sponsored by Diet Dr. Pepper. Okay, so still waiting. People will come in. I haven't started yet. I'm sorry there's like glaring lights. What do I need to do to stop that? Oh, okay, there we go. How about that? No. That's pretty good. That's better. I think we can all live with that. If anybody has a problem, they can let me know. Okay. What time is it? 3:59. We're almost started. If you're watching this on the playback, this was a live stream. We're going to have a live chat. So this is like not an edited video. You're not going to be able to actually talk to me. You can leave a comment in the description box below, though, and I will get back to you if you have a question about anything at any point in the video. So 3:59, waiting for people. Just waiting for people. Oh, I got to get in the chat too. Hang on. It's almost time. This is your pre-show music. I'm going to make sure it's turned down. Garland, hey, oh, thank you. I haven't done anything to my hair in days. So all this is like mats. This is matted right here. So it's like I took the matted pieces and just kind of braided them together. And I'm like, oh, that looks intentional. But I did like a full face of makeup. So I've got a full face of makeup and ratty, like 5-day-old hair, no bra on. So I'm either here 100% or I'm here 0%. This is the Michelle you're getting today. It's very accidentally done. So it's 4 o'clock now. Hi, I'm Michelle from Unicorn Centaur. Welcome to my tiny little studio. I make videos for extra equestrians, the nerds and the artists and the weirdos and the extra people. So if you're watching this at some point in the future and you're like, what is this lady talking about? At the point that this is live streamed, the global economy is undergoing the COVID-19 pandemic. So like half the world at the point this is live streamed is under some sort of lockdown or shelter in place orders or freaking out in some way about it. So everybody's inside, everybody's crafting, everybody's making masks, but there are lots of you who have had a sewing machine at your house. Someone bought it for you or you bought it because it was on sale and you were like, I'm totally going to learn how to sew. And then you got it home and you were looking at all of these symbols and you were like, what? And the language in the manual was like gibberish. And then like, what does this even mean? Is this supposed to be obvious? And what even are all these knobs? Oh my God. So we're going to sort of demystify it all. We're going to talk about tension and stitch length and back stitching and what all this little stuff is down here. Little important things to remember when you're sewing. Because sewing is easy. You take the little fabric and you push it through here and the stitches go and it happens and it's great. But what happens when it doesn't happen great? If everything just goes kablooey. I'm here tonight to show you what everything does on the machine so that when something goes kablooey, you can figure out where you messed up and fix it. Because that's pretty much the key to sewing is figuring out where you messed up and fixing it. The smooth part of sewing, smooth sailing, that's great. That takes seconds, that takes minutes. But like the setup and the preparation and then fixing things when they go wrong, that's the part that takes a while. And that will make people like fling it down to the ground and be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. F this, I'm going to go do something else. But Joanna's here. Hey. So in a second, if you are watching this on the playback, you can probably skip like 5 minutes because I'm probably just gonna like sit here and drink my Dr. Pepper for a second and chat with my homies in the chat. Do people still say homies? Oh my God, I'm gonna lose subscribers. She said homies. Okay, exciting news before we go any further. I ordered a camera. I got the funds to get a camera. It's a cheap camera, so hopefully, oh, please let it be. It says it films in HD, and it's got a little viewfinder on it, and it comes with a little microphone and a little tripod. So hopefully, see, what you don't see right now is this is my laptop, and this is sitting on a box, which is sitting on a tall chair. So I'm about to up my game is what I'm saying. So when I'm like, oh, pull y'all in, the reason it's like this is because we're on a wobbly chair. Y'all are on a wobbly chair. Autism Centaur is here. Hello. I'm getting started in just a second. Autism Centaur, we're talking about sewing machines tonight and all of their functions, how they work. Can I even open up the chassis here? How am I? I haven't even tried to do that, have I? I'm gonna get in trouble right off the bat. Y'all watch. Okay, so yes, y'all come in here. Let's get started, shall we? We're back in my little corner of my little studio. The funny thing is this sewing machine is sitting on another sewing machine. This was my grandmother's sewing machine. I think it's from the 1920s. It's a Singer sewing machine, just like this one. And my mom got me this one. So my mom got me this one. It was some little inexpensive thing that was on sale. It doesn't do anything fancy. Does like regular straight stitch and a couple of, it looks like it does a lot, but a lot of these are like variations of the same like kind of thing. Anyway, we can go over that real quick if you guys want. I don't know. I'm here for you. Hey. But let's get started. If anybody has, if you guys are seriously like watching along with me and with your machine, and you want you have specific questions answered, ask them in the chat. I'll do my best to keep looking back here to see what your specific question is. Like, oh, my stitches are always blah, blah, blah. And I can help you figure out. Or, oh, we did one live stream once where I was doing how to thread the machine and everything. And we'll go over that today. We did have a question today about winding bobbins, which is done up here on the top. So right up here, let's go over the parts of the sewing machine class. Are you ready? Pencils raised. This is where you wind your bobbin. And the bobbin is down here. That's your bottom thread. And that comes right here in the bottom. See, if I had a camera, I could pull y'all down right in here. This is the little spool that holds the thread. That is your bottom thread. This is your top thread that comes here from the spool pin and then gets threaded through the machine. There are tension wheels in here that it goes through. And then this is open. Do I have to like use a little thing to do it? I don't know what I just did, so I'm gonna do it back. I'm not sure what that is. Over here is your stitch length. The stitch length tells you, on top of my machine, it's got a little picture of a bobbin. So you know that's where you do your bobbin. There are little diagrams here that show how you thread it, and it'll also explain it. Usually, if you still have the manual, you can read the manual and look at the pictures and figure out how to do it. So this is your stitch length. If you only have like the tiniest stitch length, the needle actually doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps stitching in place. You need that for certain stitches, making buttonholes in fabric, and things like that. Because buttonholes are just slits of fabric with stitching around the edges of that slit. So you can do that here on a sewing machine. So the loosest stitch is not going to stay in very well because it's a lot looser. The loosest stitch is usually used when you're sewing together pieces that you're going to take apart later for some reason. That happens. Not in our like beginner projects, really. Well, maybe. But that's a basting stitch. So somewhere around 2 to 3. So I've got it like on 2 3/4 here. That's like a good stitch length for just your average stitching. If your seams are too loose, like if you can pull your seams and see where the threads are coming apart in the middle, your stitch length is too loose. So you need to shorten it up a bit. And if your seams are so tight that you can't get them apart. Like if you needed to get something apart later, you'll regret it. Don't do it too tight. But tight seams are pretty secure. If you have areas that are going to take more wear, if it's a costume piece, you may want to use shorter stitches in areas like that to reinforce them more. So that is stitch length. Madeline's here. I was sitting here right before the live stream, like 10 minutes before the live stream, like, who all did I tag? I know I forgot somebody. And I'm going through all the people. Oh, Lauren. I also forgot to tag Lauren. Dang it. Y'all. I need an actual list. The list is in my brain. And there's holes in my brain. So sometimes there's holes in my list. I know you know how to sew already though, don't you, Madeline? So like, you're not going to be watching this going, okay. But I invited veteran sewers to the chat as well. So if people in the chat have a question that you feel like you can answer, go ahead. Lend your expertise, please. I am not the be-all, know-all queen of the universe, even though I like to play that in everyday life. So on the side here is our little plug. There are two cords that come from it. One is the cord that goes to the power source, the wall plugs in. The other cord goes to the foot pedal, which is like a little pedal. And it's like, when you press it, if you like gun it like a car, if you press it down as far as it'll go, this goes super fast. And if you just barely, you can make it go super, super slow. So you can control how fast the needle goes with your foot pressure. And if you're just learning on a sewing machine, it's super awkward at first because you'll start to go and then you'll go too fast and you'll panic and you'll let up and then so at first your stitches may be all over the place. But I'm gonna put this on the floor because that's where it needs to be. I'm gonna take my shoes off because that's how I be. Any questions in the chat? I'm thinking about starting to ride again. I did when I was 8, did like 2 years, 15 now. My opinion is always ride, always. Just take lessons. If you're not sure what to do, this is my best advice to anybody who's like, I want to get back into horses. Take lessons. Find somewhere, because first of all, the first barn you go to may not be the right one for you. You may have to go to a couple of different places. So start by doing research, unless you know a place around you. But like go to the barns and take like 2 or 3 lessons. Sometimes they'll let you have a lesson for free, like a 30-minute lesson to know if you want to come back. Just ask. I don't know. Or like a introductory thing. Or maybe they have a program. I don't know. But go try a couple of barns. See what you can learn. And when you find a barn that you kind of vibe with and you like the trainer, then start taking lessons. Everybody, even Olympic riders, take lessons. So that's always a place to start. And once you're taking lessons, now you have access to a trainer, to barn owners who know of available horses, to job opportunities sometimes. But just get and more friends, more horse friends. Definitely get back into horses. That's my advice. I'm not your mama, but there's my advice. I could be, though. I could be. From your fake internet mama, I say get some lessons. Okay, y'all. So I've got my foot pedal on the floor, and that controls how fast the needle goes. And again, sometimes this is a little bit like playing the piano, where you have to coordinate what one hand is holding the fabric still, one hand is controlling and troubleshooting, the foot is doing the thing, and the other foot is just being a lazy little nugget and not even pulling its weight. But you've got a foot and 2 hands doing different things. So over here, there's this knob, and these knobs may be different places in different machines. There are some machines that are electronic and will have an electronic display right here. So your tension and your stitch length, are going to be in an electronic output. So if you have a scale from, say, 0 to whatever your scale is, 0 to whatever, your stitch length, your average stitch length is going to be about, what does this go up to? 4. So the average stitch length from 0 to 4 is like a 2.5. So estimate that on your thing. I don't know if yours does like 100% or whatever. Now, tension depends on what you're experiencing down here. It is very rarely your bobbin tension that is your problem. If you're having tension problems when you're sewing, if the thread is doing all sorts of wonky things, 10% of the time it's your bobbin tension, and that's what you have to worry about. But the rest of the time, it's this upper level tension that is wrong. So if the bobbin threads are being pulled up through the stitches. If you're looking at it and the top thread is like totally straight and angry looking and the bottom stitches are like coming up through, then your top tension is too tight. To lower the tension, you lower the number. Loosen the tension, lower the number. So if you want to loosen that top tension, it's way tight and angry, then I'm going to turn it down a little bit more and try that and see if that's a little bit better. Now, if it's like kind of really loose and sloppy and you take it out and there's all sorts of thread underneath and everything, that means you've got it too loose up here and you need to tighten that thing up. Tighten it up, and that's your tension. And again, I've had machines where the tension and the stitch length were knobs on this, or like dials on the side. I've had them as dials on the front. I've had one where there was the tension knob was right here on the front of the machine. That's what that was. So that's your stitch length. That's your tension. Average is going to be about the middle if you've got it on some kind of other scale on your sewing machine. Here is the back stitch button at the beginning and end of your seams. You want to do a couple of stitches forward and then a couple of stitches backwards, and that sort of finishes the other edge of the seam. Otherwise, they start to kind of come apart because they're not knotted at the ends, and that sort of knots the thread for you. So you very gently do a couple stitches. I need to demonstrate this, don't I? I need to start demonstrating. That's why I got this white fabric, so y'all could see. Can you see the cat hair on it? This was in a place where Cherry Blossom was up lying against it. Yeah, that's cat hair. Hi. I'm talking about you. Baby girl. She's napping. She's napping. She's napping, does not care at all about the live stream. The cats used to crash my live streams all the time, but that was because I fed them like right at their dinner time. So if I didn't feed them right before, they were all over me. Oh my God, I love you so much. Now that I'm doing it at 4 in the afternoon, they're like, nap time, bye. This is a remnant of white cotton fabric that I found at Joann Fabric. Just some white cotton fabric, and I am going to cut some of it off to do stitches. So I have my sewing box. This sewing box dates from the 1990s. I bought it at a fabric store. Trust me, this fabric was, this fabric was like totally, everybody had dresses made of this fabric. We all had church dresses with giant lace collars in the early 90s. And oh, some of them were not dresses, they were jumpsuits with like big balloony legs and then this big lace collar. Who remembers that? Some of y'all are too young. But that's what this fabric was from. So couches were covered with it. Everybody had curtains like this and church dresses. Okay, question, just found your channel. Is putting horseshoes on horses hurt them? If you do it wrong, it might, but no. The outside edges of a horse's hoof are like fingernail material. So it doesn't hurt, it's like hair. It's the same kind of proteins as are in hair and nails. So the farrier puts the shoes on and the nails keep it in place so that the hoof actually stays together better. Without a shoe, if a horse is in very heavy work on terrain that's rough on the feet tend to splay out a little bit more and develop cracks. But a shoe will hold the integrity of the hoof wall together on horses that are more and work more. Sport horses, performance horses, work horses like police horses, things like that. Horses that need more support for their hooves. But there are very sensitive structures inside the horse's hoof. So if you just like jam a nail up in a horse's hoof, yeah, it's going to hurt and it's going to bleed. You're going to do some damage. But shoeing the horses doesn't. Even hot shoeing, you can heat the metal of a horseshoe up to where it's actually glowing red and stick it on the end of the horse's hoof. The horse feels nothing. It's just like, again, the end of your fingernail. Nothing. Yeah, Joanna's explaining there's no nerves on the ends of the hooves. But yeah, there are like up inside in the anatomical structures of the hoof. So if a horse steps on a nail in an area that's like right in the center of the hoof, yeah, that's bad. But the nails on the outside edge in the hoof wall where, like Joanna said, there's no nerve endings, then you're good. But not all horses need horseshoes, certainly. Actually, most of them probably don't. Like my dippy little horses right now don't have shoes on. Sonny's about to get new shoes on because I was riding him more. So I wanted to make sure his hooves were more supported. But otherwise, they just stay barefoot. I prefer having them barefoot if I can. It's cheaper, but whatever's best. Whatever my farrier and my vet are telling me that is best for my horse, that's what I'm going to do. My equine healthcare professionals, so to speak. And hi, welcome to the channel. I'm all about not having an extreme opinion one way or another on a lot of things, but about doing what is appropriate for whatever horse, whatever situation, because the horses are so different. I am cutting out fabric, by the way, to demonstrate some stitches on this sewing machine for y'all. So if you are new to the channel, I do live streams on Sunday afternoons. This is 4 p.m. Eastern time. This is on the East Coast of the United States. I don't know where you are in the world. I'll just put that down up there. So we do this every week, and usually it's something equine related, like making things for our horses, painting. I should keep these out. Painting saddle pads, and I'm going to stick those right there. And making stuff. I've got the materials. We're going to make helmet covers. I think that's going to be next week, where we're going to do helmet covers that look like crowns. So when you put on your riding helmet, it looks like you are a queen wearing a crown, or a king. I don't know. You do you. This should be okay. Ideally, this would be ironed, but I'm going to be super lazy today and not drag out my ironing board and my iron. I don't think you brand horses. I don't brand horses. Yeah, the branding hurts, but I mean, it's not for long. It really isn't. I'm not sure how I feel about branding because I don't really buy purebred horses that get branded. I know there's freeze branding that is done as well. And honestly, I don't know enough about the practice to have an educated opinion about it. I know my horses aren't branded. I wouldn't brand them because I don't have a reason to. So let me get back to the sewing machine. Hang on, let me scoot over here. Do I need to scoot y'all in? Come in, babies. Hi. I'm just going to show you guys. Maybe I can fiddle with the tension a little bit and show you, like, simulate some problems with it here. Or maybe I don't need to do that yet, but let's talk about more like, oh, this was the back stitch. This is where we ended up. This is different on different machines as well. One machine I had, it was a button on the side that you pushed in. One machine I had, it was in the back where you pressed a lever down. It's got this little arrow that curves up and around. So I'm going to undo this. Do I have an empty bobbin? I don't think I have an empty bobbin. Dang it. Because I want to show a trick to someone who had asked a question. Where's my, oh, here's some more thread. Thank you. I'm getting so distracted, y'all. Oh my gosh. So up here, this is where we go right through all of the things. We come down here to the needle. There is a little thread guard in here. Not all machines have this. So there is a little thread guard that I put my thread through, and then I thread my needle. This right here, this weird little doohickey, is called a presser foot. There are different kinds of feet for your sewing machine. There are zipper feet that make it easier to put in a zipper with a tighter seam. There are narrower feet and wider feet for different kinds of projects. But basically this, once you put it down, this is what presses the fabric to the work surface here, and then it goes through. Now there are little tiny underneath, it's hard to see here, but on your machine, you should see some little teeth in some grooves underneath the presser foot. And those, this is my favorite thing. Those are called the feed dogs, F-E-E-D-D-O-G-S, feed dogs. So the feed dogs pull the fabric, they move, they sort of go back and they move and they pull the fabric back underneath the presser foot when you're going. So this actually moves. You don't have to push the fabric through. I'll show you. Oh, I have to, hello, Michelle, you unthreaded it. So up here, my little diagram says to click it through this little guide. That's just a little guide that takes it over here where there's another guide. And then I take it down and up, and down. And I put it through the thread guide. Where's my scissors? I'm not doing a total close-up one. I will pull the camera in a little bit, and we'll do the threading process where you guys can actually see the little arrows that I'm looking at. And again, some machines thread differently, but in general, they go through guides up here at the top, and then are led through 1 or 2 loops here through the tension discs. There are tension discs inside here. That's what this controls. And the thread goes through there, and that controls how tight or how loose it is. So, and then thread the needle. The needles come out, by the way, and it's very easy to break a needle when you're sewing, especially if you're going fast or if you're having trouble seeing the tiny eye. Wait, there it is. So like if you're going fast, or if you've got the wrong size needle, like if you're got a really small needle and the fabric that you are working with is thicker and requires a thicker needle to work with, or sometimes if your needle is old and dull, which mine is, it can snag on the fabric, and then the fabric you're going through so fast, it'll break the needle. So the needle actually comes out. There's a little twisty thing right here. You untwist it. In some machines, it's actually a screw. You take a little screwdriver that comes with your machine, and you unscrew it, and you pull the broken part of your needle out, throw it away, and put a new one in there. So I have both of mine. I'll do a bobbin in a minute. Do horses like working like they for a pull-a cart? Yeah, I used to be a carriage driver here in Savannah. Horses love having jobs. It's like dogs, like working dogs. They're not all horses love jobs. Like some horses just want to eat grass, but most horses they're herd animals. They're very helpful animals, and they enjoy doing tasks that are useful, just like most people and most social animals. So if you give a horse a job, like the carriage horses here in Savannah, their job is pretty much to walk around in the sunshine for a couple hours a day. That's what they'd be doing anyway. And Savannah's beautiful. They only work for a few hours, and then they go back and they get the best food and vet care of most of the other horses in the county. All right, Joanna's going to take a shower. That's okay, groundhog. Hang on. If you don't mind, I'm not asking questions. That's fine. I might just keep going back to the sewing, but I also don't mind talking about horses. This is an equestrian channel, and that's kind of why we're here. We've done things on the sewing machine before for our horse. What did we do where we were sewing stuff? I'm trying to remember. We did a saddle pad thing. Okay, so I put my fabric down here. If you leave the presser foot up and just hit the pedal and start going, you're going to get stuff everywhere, because you've got to have that presser foot. There's a lever here, down to start. So I've got my foot down on the pedal, and I don't even need to touch it. See how it's moving through there? It'll move through all by itself thanks to the feed dogs. And then I press this in, and it does a few back stitches. That secures the stitch here. So I'm going to do some stitches. Okay, now I'm going to change it to the loosest stitch, the longest stitch. And now I'm going to change it to one of the shortest stitches, 1.5. Okay. I'm going to do it to a regular size stitch again. Now to lift it up, you can't just get it out like this. If you do, it's trouble. Lift up your presser foot. Oh, I forgot to do what these knobs are. This knob on the side moves your needle arm, and you always turn it towards you. Always turn towards you. Always turn towards you. If you turn this wheel away, the way the mechanism works inside the machine here, you can trip up. If you do it backwards, you can trip up the cycle of the looping, and it's going to mess up your stitches. You're going to be sad. You're going to wish you hadn't. Okay. So here's what, I hope you guys can see this. So right here, here's where I started. Right here's where I backstitch. So you can see how that really secures and anchors the seam when we turn it. Because when you turn it, a seam isn't going to be like this. If you're making a garment, it's going to be turned like this. So there you go. You're going to have a seam like that. So here is the end where you have back stitched, and then it starts, if you can see, there's like normal size stitches, and then you can see in the middle here where it moves to these longer stitches, and then towards the end, I did some very, very teeny tiny stitches. And then at the end, I went back to regular stitches, and I did not back stitch. So I could show you how it sort of starts coming apart right there, see? On the end of the seam will start coming apart, and it starts just getting loose. And at this end, your back stitching prevents that. Your back, where it's back stitched right there, that's the tightest part right there. There you go. So look in here, there's the tiniest stitches. That seam is not coming apart. But in the middle where I did the biggest stitches, you can see where it kind of pulls apart a little bit more. Anyway, that's how stitch length works, kids. Yay. Then we can mess with the tension. Let me check the chat again. I know absolutely nothing about horses. Not here to judge. I'm just clipping horses' nails. Oh yeah, I've heard that it's not good for the dogs to eat the clippings. I'm just about every barn that I've been at lets the dogs eat the hoof trimmings like they're treats. And the dogs love them. Oh my God, they stink so bad. It's the most disgusting thing. Like, but the horses absolutely love it, or the dogs absolutely love it. But I have heard that they can damage a dog. I don't know if it's damaging the dog's organs or if it's about digestion. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. Google me. Okay. But yeah, well, welcome here. I have a whole playlist called Stuff About Horses that is questions that I get asked a lot. Like when I work with horses in the public, like doing these videos, and when I was a carriage driver, I would get questions a lot from people who don't work with horses a lot. And that's fair. If you don't work with them all the time, what do you know about horses? The questions are valid. Thank you for asking. So what do I want to do here? I want to be on like a nice average stitch length. Actually, let me do a little bit bigger so people can see. So I'm going to do a stitch with like really tight tension so we can see what that looks like. Press her foot down. And y'all can't even see what I'm doing over here. Well, gosh, my machine likes that tension. That's crazy. I expected it to come through a lot rougher. Nope, that's a nice seam. Apparently, this layer of fabric and this... Fine, I won't demonstrate that way. What do we do? This machine's going to make me lie. Ooh, this one goes all the way up to 9. I didn't even know that. I've never adjusted the tension so tightly. Okay. I'm kind of scared. Oh, that was the loose tension, right? This is the tight one. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So if I put it on the tightest, so the loosest didn't give us really gross stitches in the back. It wasn't too bad. The tightest, though, you can see how it's pulling the fabric tight here. And you can see the little crosses in the middle of the stitch. That is the bobbin thread being pulled up through. And that's what, if your stitches look like that, where they're super tight and you can see, oh, and look, it even messed up at the beginning here. If you've got stuff like this and your threads are pulling through from the bottom, you need to loosen that tension. Just lose that tension. Just massage it all away. Massage it all away. We're going to go with this looser tension. Okay. So I have demonstrated that. Let's do the bobbin. Like I said, I had somebody request a bobbin. So we're going to talk about threading this bobbin. This is the bobbin casing, I believe it's called. And underneath here in your little chassis, mine is dusty. Don't judge me. Your sewing machine came with a little kit of accessories, which included a brush and a little bottle of oil and a tiny little screwdriver. Do not throw these things away. Do not lose them, okay? Because you're going to need them at some point. You are supposed to open this thing up, And every once in a while, take that little brush and brush out all this dust. You need to take the oil and any of the moving parts, you can put a little dot of oil on any of the moving parts to keep them from all squeaking and like breaking down and everything. Okay. What is going on back here? Oh, push. Oh, that's for the buttonhole. Never mind. These are the things that go in here. Oh, I think that is my, oh, over here. Hang on, one more thing. Y'all, sorry, that got boring. On this side, with some, there's another one back here. There's a tiny little notch back here, and there's a tiny little notch over here. Those are thread cutters. So you take your thread and you just lay it, it's a tiny little razor in there. And so you just lay the thread on top and it cuts. And again, some of those have the little razor on the back here somehow. So you have to check where it is on your machine. What was I doing here? Oh, the tension was so tight. Oh, I'm doing my bobbin. So do I have an empty bobbin? Hang on, maybe I do. Ta-da! I don't have to waste thread. Yay. These are bobbins. This is what your lower thread is wrapped around. It's the same stuff as up here. So you got to wind it around these little things. And there are different, some of them are plastic, some of them are metal. Whatever your particular machine came with, keep getting those. Like don't put plastic ones in, don't use plastic ones in a machine that came with metal bobbins, and don't use metal in a machine that came with plastic. I just was told that. I don't know. I have not tested that theory. So. Okay. So this is what it looks like with a little bit of thread on it. Oh my God. Okay, hang on. Just gonna wind that up and stick that back in here. So we have to wind thread on this bobbin, and we don't want to sit there and do it by hand because that is so Middle Ages. That is so Victorian era. Okay, so to wind the bobbin, on some machines, you have to disengage the needle arm over here. We don't have to do that with our machine, with this machine here. Excuse me. With this machine, you simply go through. So the regular way is pointed out here in arrows, but then there's a dotted line that goes down here and around this guide this way. Oops, not that guide. Around the guide this way. Over to here. Which then the little picture shows us putting it in the bobbin. Now, some people just wrap it around here and stick it on. But here's what I was taught. This is what keeps it in place. And I think this is going to fix the problem. Is it TJ who asked this? Gosh, I can't remember now. Somebody asked how to keep the thread in the middle of the bobbin as it's winding. And there's little teeny tiny holes. See those holes up there? What you're going to do is take the thread and you take it from the inside, from up underneath, and put it through that hole. Can you see that? So then you hold, now I'm stringing it through that hole from the bottom, and I put that on top and click it down into place. And now I hold this excess up here at the top. In the machines where you disengage the arm now and start going. Hit the pedal and start going. Since in our machine, my machine here, you don't disengage the arm, you click this into place. So then you just hold it up, and sometimes I will hold, just very slightly hold this in my fingers, not to give any tension, but just to kind of hold it, and then press your foot down on the pedal. Now, once you've got it going, you can clip that, and now you've got it going on. And again, my foot, the pressure of my foot controls the speed of this. So I stop. I'm lifting my foot up, going lightly, going hand. Going easy, going hand. Now, sometimes it'll start to be heavy on the bottom here. You'll get more thread on the bottom. In that case, I'll hold the thread and hold it up here. So I kind of guide it with my finger and keep it up here so we keep it even. There's a little guide over here that will stop it once the thread goes out far enough. So we're up against the little guide. Click it back or re-engage your sewing arm. And now, boop. It's so beautiful. Oh my God, it's so well round. Round? It's well wound. Okay. So this is a weird thing to put it back in the little bobbin thing. If you put it upside down, you're going to mess up your day. This is another way things can get messed up. So you've got this little thing and it goes where this little arm is up on top. So the little arm thing goes in a notch up on top here. Here's one of the ways you can get it wrong. So with the notch on top, right on top of that notch, there's like a little tiny place. That's where the thread's going to come through, okay? So you want to hold it with the arm out towards you. It's empty up here and the arm is pointing towards me. Now I'm going to put the bobbin in so that when I pull the thread, the bobbin turns counterclockwise. So here we go. Arm is towards me. The bobbin, when I put it in here and pull the thread, it is turning counterclockwise. So now it's coming up through the crack between this plastic and the thing. Now, if I move it, there's a little tiny crack. Oh, dang it. There's a little tiny crack right here. I want to see if the camera will show it. So when I pull the thread over and I pull it down through that little piece and over. So it goes behind this little metal piece right here and comes out through here. So when I pull on it, we're still going counterclockwise and it's coming out to the right side of the arm here. Now I got to hold it in. It's going to fall out if I let it go. There's the little arm here. See the little arm? That's what we hold on to when we put it back in with the arm pointed up at the top. We put it in and that little arm has to get right in place with that notch. And then you've got your thread coming out here. So I'm going to take it out and show you guys again. So I pull out the little arm and I'm holding onto it like this. Okay, you guys see? So let's pop this out and do that again. Hang on, let me get back to a couple questions. Oh, dogs ate cow hoof clippings. Oh yeah, that smell, just ugh. Is it hard to sew? Really wanted how to learn. No. Yeah, there's thimbles that you can protect your fingers with, but that's why we're doing this, so we can go over, like it's easy to just sew a straight stitch, but when things go wrong, what do? So this is what I'm trying to go over with people who are like, things are messing up. What am I doing wrong? You might be doing the bobbin part wrong. So the little arm is down, or that arm is down. This arm, or tooth, what should we call this? Little arm is coming towards me. The open side is up. Oh, shoot, and I dropped the bobbin. So I put it in there. So let's put it in there this way. Oh, it's going clockwise. I've got it in there wrong. So I get it out, put it upside down. Now it's going counterclockwise. Good job, me. And then we pull down and get it behind this. So it's coming out right there. Oop. And now we take our little arm here. Can we get you in, Nicholas, sir? Can we see that, what we're looking at right there? So what I'm doing is I've got my thread off to the side this way. I hold this little arm here and I put it in. It's kind of a weird little operation, and make sure it's totally in there. And that's how you do that little part. Okay, let's back you up just a tiny little bit so we can still see my Dr. Pepper. Not sponsored. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Hi. Colin, the hard part is learning about your machines sometimes. Yes, that's why we're talking about this, because with some people, I don't want, if I'm telling them to wind your bobbin, click the bobbin pin over, and they have one of the ones where you just have to disengage the sewing arm, they're going to be like, what are you talking about, lady? So that's why I want people to know. In some cases, these knobs are going to be knobs right here on the front. Sometimes there'll be dials here on the side. Sometimes this is all you get is like just numbers and then little diagrams. So if you don't have the manual to your machine, you can still figure it out if you know the basic parts. There's tension, there's stitch length, there's bobbin, there's top thread, and just all the little ways, the presser foot, how everything goes together. Because if you know all the little pieces, the more and more you get familiar with it, the more you can just figure out your own machine. So now we have to rethread our machine, but that's okay because we're learning. Again, let me see, I don't know if I can do this, but there's a guide up here at the top that I just click into. You just click it in there and then put it on this side of this guide. Do I have my presser foot up? Make sure your presser foot is up when you are threading. Otherwise, the thread won't engage between the tension discs correctly. You also want your sewing arm or your needle arm in the up position. And back down through the needle guide. All this sewing machine talk. All this vocabulary. If you can get to where you can be comfortable with the vocabulary of sewing and sewing machines, then you can really be comfortable learning to read patterns. You can learn how to adapt patterns for you and your horse. Because I know we're all making stuff for our horses. I know most people are like making masks right now. I've got my mask making stuff like right back over here. Hang on, I have terrible, I should be wearing my glasses right now, but just dang it. Holy crap, I'm about to have an old lady moment live on YouTube. Okay. So now that I've threaded it and the thread goes from front to back, so you're gonna go front to back with your needle. I'm holding it off to the side. Here's my bobbin thread is coming out through the bottom here, but I want it coming up through. There's a little slot in the middle of the feed dogs that the bobbin thread comes up through. And then both threads are between the presser foot and the feed dogs. Both the bottom and the top thread come through that way. Let me see if I can pull you guys down just for a second so you can see what we're looking at here. This is the bobbin casing, and here it fits up inside this little toothy tooth. Right now, the thread is coming out right here, but we want it to come out up here. So you can pull it off to either side. Oh my God, I'm balancing this on my belly, you guys. Wait, hang on. Hang on, let me do this. I'm balancing it between my belly and, can I do this? Okay, so here's the bobbin thread. So you want to pull the knob that's on the side over here. Where are you going? Where am I going? Over there, that knob that moves the needle, pull it towards you. So the needle goes down and it actually picks up that bobbin thread and pulls it up. And you can, what am I doing? Why didn't it come? No. All right, I'm having trouble and I need my belly back. You guys. Of course, that messed up. Do I have it in there right? Where is that extra thread coming from? What is going on? Oh, that's the top thread, y'all. Give me a minute. Ow. Stop it. Stop it. I'm going to have to thread this stupid thing again. Okay. Pulling this towards you brings the needle arm up, and that's this right here. Of course, would it really be one of my live streams? Oh my God, I didn't have any thread in my hand. Would it really be one of my live streams if something didn't go wrong? I'm usually spilling something. Where? Oh my God. Quit. You can stay down there. I'm going to use another bobbin. I don't even like you anymore. I'm going to use this bobbin. This bobbin is nicer. This bobbin has turquoise thread. Aqua. Okay, what are you doing? There's thread everywhere now, you guys. Wait. Okay. So I've got my little thread here, the arm's towards me. I pop it in the doodle. It's going counterclockwise, and I slide it down between those pieces of metal to come out right there. There we go. There we go. There we go. This will make it easier to see what is what. So we got to rethread this, take it through the thread guide. Through the thread guide. See, I can't use any copyrighted music, so I have to sing you guys made-up songs. Okay, oh my God, we did it. Third time. Third time. Okay, so I take my little arm, I stick it in there, make sure it fits inside the notch. It's not going to fit inside the notch. There you go. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. So now with the thread going straight from the needle, not underneath the feed dogs, but straight from the needle to my hand, I turn this towards me and it picks up the thread underneath and you can pull it out through. Now it works perfectly. When they're way back there and they can't see, you are shaming me on YouTube. How dare you? And then you want both threads to go through. Let me pull you so you can see again. So we're looking at these two, the top and the bottom thread coming out. The bottom thread is coming up from the feed dogs and coming out, and the top thread is coming out from the needle and going under the feed dogs. So that's that, children. Oh my gosh, it's 4:49. It is nearly time to shut this thing down. What did we not get to? Sometimes when you're sewing smaller areas, you want to leave this part of the sewing machine off. This is a container that holds your accessories, by the way. Usually it's a little bag or a little something else. But like, here's my little oil that I'm supposed to be oiling and the little tube that goes to it. I don't know where the brush is. I'm not going to judge myself. I don't know where the little screwdriver is. Just do as I say, not as I do. And that goes in there. So when you're on wider surfaces, when you're doing larger projects, you want this part to be intact so that you have a surface to feed that through. But if you're doing a smaller area, like a little sleeve or a leg, you just can't get that around the machine to sew. So let's see. There we've got our thread cutter on the side. Sometimes it's in the back. It may be in another area, but it's a place where if you don't have your scissors handy, you can just pull the threads down on and cut them off easily. There are usually diagrams on the top, but there is a way to do your bobbin. What is a different way? I've sometimes seen the bobbin winding mechanism over here. So you may, if your bobbin winder isn't on the right side of the machine, don't panic. And again, some machines have a different mechanism where there's like an inside and an outside ring. So you push one way and the other. There should be a way that shows you how. And that will disengage the needle arm. Or if it's like my machine, when you click it into place, that disengages it. Because you don't want the needle going while you're rolling your bobbin. You just don't. So do it one way for the bobbin and then do it another way for this. If your tension is too tight, your tension may be dials on the side, dials on the front, dials on the top. Sometimes it's an electric readout. Your back stitch may be a button on the side of the machine, a button on the back, but it usually has something that indicates like a little U-turn. That's how you know what your back stitch is. We didn't even go over all these little stitches here, but this is your, the stitches I use most often. Let's come in here real close for a second. The stitches I use most often are A and D. A is the regular straight stitch, and D is the widest zigzag stitch. A zigzag stitch is done on the very edges of the fabric. Let me show you real quick. And if you don't have a serger, which I don't, a serger is a special kind of sewing machine that does, it almost looks like embroidery on the edges of the fabric, and that finishes it so you don't have fraying edges to your seams. So hang on, I've been gabbing, so let me check everything here. I want to turn, this is the bottom knob here, turn that to D. So we put that on D right here. So it's going to do a zigzag stitch. And then I line it up to where it's on the very edge of the fabric. And you'll see when I start in just a second. I want a nice long stitch for, actually I use a shorter stitch so that it goes like that. We've got regular tension on here. Okay. So press your foot up. Clip your ends. So you see how we've got one side of the zigzag and the other side of the zigzag. And when you do it on the very edge of the fabric, the top of the zigzag catches the edge and will keep it from fraying. So it's not as clean as a serger. You see I've got a couple little tufts right here, but it's going to keep the edges of that from fraying. Because if you don't finish your seams when you make something the first time you wash it, you're going to get little threads everywhere and it's going to be knotted and it's going to be terrible and you're going to be sad and you're going to cry. And I don't want to see that happen. I like you guys. So don't cry. I've cried over way too many things that I've sewn. Maybe some of y'all can relate. There are times you just have to cry. This is why I wanted to do this. I don't want there to have been a project where you guys are like, okay, I just bought $100 sewing machine. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to learn how to sew. And then the first project you try, you just crash and burn miserably. There's thread everywhere. Everything keeps breaking. You have no idea what's going wrong. The pattern is in Greek or something. You have no idea. So I just want to ease that process. I've been through all that where you have to like rage quit and put everything away just for a little while. And then come back to it later. So I'm hoping to ease your transition back. If you have rage quit your machine in the past, I hope that you find the strength to go back to it after today's live stream. Next week, I'm hoping to do helmet covers. I want to try to do that. If I get overwhelmed this week, we may do something else though. So don't totally quote me on that. Why is this not doing the chat anymore? What is going on? I can't see the chat on my phone. Hello. We're about to shut it down here anyway. I have enjoyed. Groundhog, thanks for joining us today. Oh, Brittany's here. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so glad you showed up. Check out that playlist. Go search my channel for playlist, Stuff About Horses. Looking forward to the helmet covers. Yes, because whatever I do, it'll be a different pattern for bike helmets, obviously. But if you don't have a horse and you want to make bike helmet covers like that, I'm hoping that it will, be a cool thing. Pedal to control the machine. Yes, but you only need one of your legs. So if you don't want to use your right leg, you can use your left leg or vice versa. Even because the feed dogs move the fabric themselves, it is possible to not have any legs and use a sewing machine. And you could use one hand to control the motion pedal, and the other hand could be doing all the things on the sewing machine. It is quite possible. So. Yeah, most learn on whatever machine's available. Yeah, I learned on my mom's machine. Came at the last minute. I'm glad you're here, Brittany, and I'm glad you got a nap. Good beginner machine, doesn't cost a crap ton. I would suggest going to either Walmart, like walmart.com, or if you do Joann Fabric, sometimes they have coupons where you can get 50% off something. So they might, including sales. So let's say there's a $150 machine and it's on sale for 75% off. And then you get 50% off your purchase, more than that. Like there are ways you can get a decent sewing machine. I think this one was around $100. And like I said, it doesn't do anything fancy. It does a straight stitch and I can do a zigzag, and there's some fancy hemming stitches here that I haven't really used. But it gets me through most of what I need to do. I can make myself clothes. I can make costumes for my horses and for myself. And that's really all that I use it for. If you want to make things like leather tack or really thick things like thick quilted saddle pads or something like that, you might need an industrial machine. Or if you want to work with leather, that's what I said already. You'll want an industrial machine that is a lot stronger than this and a lot more expensive. But if you just want to try to learn, grab yourself the cheapest. Even the cheapest machine is going to have straight stitch and zigzag. And that's pretty much all you need. Anyway, Jazzy Dog. Hey, we are just about dreaming of a Juki machine. Garland, I don't even know what that is. Now I got to go Google something. Thanks. Jazzy Dog, hey, we just did an entire hour of live streaming on what all the buttons on a sewing machine do. It was fascinating, I promise. Okay, so I'm going to see you guys next week. I've got a video coming out on Wednesday, and next live stream is going to be Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or wherever else you are in the world. So, Madeline, oh, Madeline's still here. I love you so much. Bye, you guys.